Welcome to the On the Blue Line podcast. I am your host and the founder of On the Blue Line, Wayne Mulder. On the Blue Line is a resource for law enforcement and law enforcement supporters for everyday life. And I'm happy to announce that this is our inaugural interview show. We simply call this the Interview Room. In this show, we're going to be interviewing leaders from law enforcement, business, life, anyone who can provide insight, instruction, warnings, encouragement, and things that will help us in our day-to-day lives. What many of us have in common is working in and around law enforcement, but what we want and what we need is a resource for all the other areas of our life. You know, we were never meant to do life alone. That brotherhood, that camaraderie, that is inherent to the job, and it's also the way that we should approach life. We are in this together, and this is what On the Blue Line is all about. It's a gathering of people from all walks of life, united by law enforcement, but focused on being successful in all the different facets of our lives. So I hope you enjoy this first episode. We have some great guests lined up in the coming weeks, and I truly believe that this will continue to be a great resource of information for you throughout the years. So I want to welcome you. Come on in, have a seat. Recording devices are on. Everyone is present. Case files are in hand, and questions are ready to go. The interview room begins now.
On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for their actions. I will always uphold the Constitution, the community, and the agency I
serve. So welcome. Today, I've got a great guest for you. We've been talking for a while now on getting out this interview show called The Interview Room. And today, I get to interview a special guest for our first episode. And it's actually my brother, Johnathan Mulder. I wanted to do that. When I first had the idea of doing the interview room and bringing on guests, and we've been fortunate to line up. We have some great guests coming in the following weeks. But I wanted the first one to be with my brother. He actually works in law enforcement. He's in corrections, and he'll tell you more about himself and what he does. But he's in corrections, and though I work on the street, he works in there, there's so many similarities between what we both do and the job, and we're both obviously in law enforcement, but it's just different perspectives too, I think, on some things. So I wanted to bring that to you. The other reason I wanted my first guest to be my brother is because even though he is my younger brother, he is a lot of the reason as to why I got into law enforcement in the first place. At the time, I had a completely different career. When he came into law enforcement, it's what really got me thinking about going down this road. So here we are almost a decade later, and we're both doing this job. So I thought it was only fitting to bring him on. So, John, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. Could you just take a minute and maybe talk a little bit about your experience and what you do right now?
I've been with corrections now for almost a little bit over 10 years. I'm a sergeant there at the facility that I'm in. When looking into law enforcement, I would have never said, hey, let's go into corrections, but I'm glad I made that move. I'm glad I made the move into corrections over going to the streets, going into the sheriff's department or something like that. There's a lot of opportunity. You can either what I call moving sideways, or you can move up. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of different areas in the jail that you can go to. You can go to the kitchen, you can go to HIP, you can go to CCC, which is another facility with work release inmates, a lot like HIP.
So for people that may not be familiar, what are some of those acronyms and what do they stand for, like the HIP and CCC?
Okay, HIP would be your home incarceration program. Usually you have to have a lot of time in to get on those programs. We have had what I believe one of the best programs with HIP. Also, CCC is a community corrections facility that allows the inmate to go out during different times, shifts, to get back into the community, but not do it at a full scale of just being released. So they're still doing their time, but they're able to go out on a schedule, whether it be, and it's all got to be court ordered, and it can be on the scale of just simply going out for the day, going out for the doctor's appointment, going out for work, but it allows them to go out for a little while and then come back in. and still serve their time, but allow them also the opportunity to still be in the community and do the things that they need to do for their family.
Now, since we have listeners from all over the United States, are you more in a city type environment? Are you in a metro government, or are you more of a sheriff's office, county jail?
No, we are more of a metro. We have on a daily basis, we will have with HIP, CCC, and the main jail, we will have well over 2,000 inmates, depending on the time of year, how many get locked up. We have a lot of revolving doors. With that revolving door, I wouldn't mind here in a little bit talking about some of the programs. We have some great programs that are in our facility. We have one of the best detox programs.
Well, let me first ask you before, because absolutely, I want to hear a little bit more about those programs and things that you guys are doing there in the jail. But let me first ask you, what brought you into law enforcement in the first place? What made you make this decision to come into corrections?
The thing that brought me into law enforcement is wanting to help people. Ever since I was young, I was wanted to go into law enforcement. I always wanted that opportunity to help people out. People think that you have to be the hero, the one saving everybody, the one going out there pulling people out of car crashes. And I'm not saying any of that is wrong. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But you know what? It may be as simple of being able to help someone understand, look, you're young, you're 18, you just got locked up, you're young. The world has not ended, the world has just began. Now, I understand that if you are in there for murder, something like that, then obviously then you're going to spend some time in there. But a lot of them get locked up because things may not have been there for when they were younger. So they made that mistake, but they're able to come in at a younger age and they still got plenty of time ahead of them, but they just need some encouraging words. They need that person to say, look, this you messed up. You made a mistake, but this is not the end. It can be the beginning. And that has been something that I've always wanted to do. When I was younger, I would actually go into corrections facility for ministry. Ministry was something that I enjoyed, was something that I enjoyed doing. And I would actually, in my hometown, would go into the jail. When I went into the jails, we would minister to the young men. And even as an officer, we are able to do the exact same thing. We are able to minister. Now, we may not pull out the Bible, we may not show them everything. We may not have time to do all that, but we can still minister. Even our words, our actions. That's what I love about when we talk about the program and stuff. One of the things that we do is called verbal judo. Verbal judo is one of the greatest things that I enjoy because you're able to talk to people. You're able to talk instead of going hands on all the time. I'm not saying that you need to sit there every time and tell them your whole life story. What I'm saying is your ability to talk, though, can get you a long ways.
One thing that I have found is working obviously on the road side, the patrol side of this coin, is that often when guys come through FTO and we bring guys out of the jail and they come out to the streets to work with us, that often the guys from the jail tend to do a little bit better when it comes to exactly what you're saying, talking to people, using those verbal de-escalation skills. Is that what you're finding too? Are you seeing that? And then when they come out to the street, why do you think that is? Why do you think that we're seeing this ability to communicate with people a little bit better?
Okay, here's the reason why I believe it is. You are dealing in any dorm situation. The way we're set up, it's a floor with 300 inmates. Each side may have 150 inmates. You have to walk into a dorm with 30 guys. These guys can range from murders to stealing a lollipop. And you have to go in there and you have to get a grown adult to do what you would like them to do, whether it's please step out, please come up here, please do this, please do that. You have to learn how to talk because, sometimes it's just you going in there or your partner going in there with you, and you got 30 inmates that, like I said, are from way up here to down here, and you got to be able to talk to them. If you show a little respect, and they understand, a lot of them like, well, you're just this, that, or the other thing. No, 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 no. Showing respect doesn't mean that you're not going to get what you need done. Showing respect doesn't mean what some people will say, well, you're just an inmate lover. No, absolutely not. But it's just like really what I was taught as a young age, what you were taught as a young age, which is amazing that now we're using is treat others the way that you want to be treated. It's funny that it comes full circle because as long as you treat people the way that you want to be treated, you're able to talk to people better. So even when I'm out on the streets, whether it be in or to or from the jail or whenever I see someone, it's always, hey, Mulder, hey. Why? Because we were BFFs? Absolutely not. It's because I showed them respect. And they're always like, that guy is cool. We're not counselors in the jail, but maybe they needed me to look up one little detail. Could you let me know when I'm out? Could you let me know this? Well, we might be able to help them out just a little bit. I'm not asking for this thing where you have 100 inmates lined up and you're being the counselor for the day. I'm not saying that. But maybe the little thing that you did, they remember, just like we would remember. Well, and it's all about, I hate to say it, but it's customer service. I think customer service also plays a role. I was a manager before I went into law enforcement. So that manager mentality has always been with me. How can we help the customer? Whether we like it or not, they're our customers. They are there because the judge said you must be here. Whether they're guilty, not guilty, whatever the case might be, that's between them and the judge. But they are there. Well, I'm on my 8-hour shift or 16-hour shift, whatever that may be, because we're always staying longer. I must make sure I abide by the laws of making sure that they're taken care of properly. Why is it that when we go out on the streets that from any corrections facility onto the streets that we may be able to talk to people better? Well, one, they may actually know you and respect you because they know that's Sergeant Mulder. He was a cool dude. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to give this guy a hard time today. You know what I'm going to do? Yes, sir. You got me. I do me. You do you. And okay, yes, I sling the dough. I had stuff on me that I shouldn't have had. You know what? Today I'm not going to run. Today he showed me respect when I was in the jail. He's out on the streets now. But you know what? I know he's still a cool dude. You got me. Put your hands behind your back and on we go. Because they know, again, it's one of those things. They know that there's things that they have to do and that we have to do.
Well, and I think that, we are in such a human business, and I think that's what people forget oftentimes. In fact, I too have seen where people with more of a customer service background. Now, like you had stated, I don't get that wrong. I'm not saying that these are customers in the sense that the customer is always right and we're placating or we're changing how we do business. We're still law enforcement and we still have a line and they have to comply and there's laws that they must follow. And I get all that. We're all human and we all make mistakes. Some mistakes, obviously, much greater than others. But I think when you take that approach, when you consider the human side of law enforcement, you're less likely to have these other problems that happen where your uses of force are being questioned or you're getting in trouble for language that you're using. Or, a lot of these things are happening now at departments all over the country because times are changing. Body-worn cameras are changing things. Just the way the public is perceiving what law enforcement should be doing and the professional standard that they're expecting. And I think that it is very important that we do remember we're in a people business. And when you do that, you're more likely to behave in a way that is going to be professional at all times.
I would have totally agree with you. We are in a people business.
Let me ask you, you had mentioned some of the programs that you guys offer in the facility, and then you had also spoken about how you'd got into this business to help young people and to help people in general, but you specifically mentioned helping young people and that sometimes, it's just a mistake or, an isolated incident. I'm not talking a career offender here. I'm talking that person that makes a mistake or they're young still and have made several mistakes. What programs do you guys offer in those situations?
There's a couple good programs. Drugs is an epidemic. You see it all over the news. You see the numbers. Detoxing, going into the programs are huge right now, all over the United States. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the numbers, but we know what's out there. We know detoxing is huge. We know the drugs are huge, whether it's a fentanyl, whether it's the ice, whatever drug it may be. Well, we have one of the largest detox programs in the United States, where we actually have dorms for these inmates. They have to be able to articulate why they want to be in there. They have to not just go in it. So they don't just put anybody in there, because they actually have a program leader that actually is over these dorms. And whether it be females or males, they have particular dorms that they go into, and when they go into these dorms, they get extra help. So one of the things they do is help each other. And what I mean by that is, when you come in detoxing, they put you in the dorm for 3 days, 5 days, whatever it is, while you're going through withdrawals and stuff. And the people that are in the program, let's just say it's 20 people, 30 people, whatever it is, help those men out, or ladies, depending on what floor they're on. They help. So the ladies that have been through the pains, the agonies from withdrawals, from the addiction, they help the inmates that have just come in. So when they're in these programs, instead of just having a revolving door where you just bring them in, detox them for a couple of days, release them back out to the streets, they actually got a program that can help them out, get them, if they're going to be in there for a little bit, so when they go out, they don't have the addiction like they used to. They can get the help that they need. They can, which a lot of facilities don't have or didn't have at the time. Another program that we have is a GED program that's really good. They actually have a dorm just for GED. And I know we graduate 10, 15, 20 inmates at a time, where that allows them to have that next step. Hey, look, I'm all going out with my GED. So that's more for the younger crowd too, that look, you can come in here, finish your education, finish the program, whether it's detoxing or such, and then you can go back out there and live a quote unquote normal life without the addiction, with the education. So one of the programs that I think is really neat is at CCC, our community corrections facility, is they go hand in hand with Goodwill to help them find jobs. Because let's be honest, if I go and I am told, go out between this time and go find a job. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do whatever I want between the hours of 9 and noon. And I'm going to mess around. I'm going to do whatever I want, hopefully not do things that I'm not supposed to do, quote unquote, but I'm going to go mess around. Well, with this program, we actually go hand in hand with Goodwill, and they help them find a job. They help set them up with the jobs. They actually have a small little graduation for them once they find a job. They give them outfits and stuff for the interviews, teaching them how to interview, what to say, what to do. So the opportunity is there. It's not as simple as, okay, you were bad, so let's lock you up, put you in jail, throw away the key. No, there's a program there to help you if you so choose to take that help. And when they're younger, some people say, okay, you know what? I'm given the opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and take it. Am I saying everybody? Absolutely not. There will be some that will be the revolving door. Now, let's talk about the revolving door. We've had inmates that have literally been locked up 1,000 times. Now, that's a lot. They now have program. It's called Warm Hands. When they get released, they go to what we call the living room, and or JDAC, or something that is a treatment program that helps them out. And with these programs that was started with us, it's called discharge planning. Discharge planning, or warm hands as we call it, that inmate that has been locked up over and over and over. And we are able to help them give them the next step when they get out. Instead of just throwing them out on the street and say, don't go get your alcohol, don't go get your drugs, don't go this, we take them to the program. Now, yes, they have to decide whether or not they want the help unless it's court ordered. But even with that, a lot of them are taking the help now. There was a guy that been locked up several times. He's out there on one of the streets, and I see him all the time being in that area. And he's constantly coming up to me and saying, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Okay, yes, he may get locked up for panhandling. He may, which we don't lock up for panhandling in this state anymore, but he may, for disorderly conduct, might get locked up once in a while. But not like he was. It used to be every day, and he was on the drugs, but now he's got his own apartment. Yes, he still does a panhandling because let's be honest, when you can make that kind of money and not pay taxes on it, and you can get easy, quick money, people are going to do it. Whether we like it or not, whether we think it's right, whether we think it's wrong, that's not the point I'm trying to make right now. The point that I'm making is this program has worked for him. This program has helped him get the apartment that he needs, get him as stable as we can right now. So it's a great program that has worked for him and it's worked for others.
When you say it has worked for others, are you seeing a lot of success with it, or is it just very periodic? Or
they are stating that there is a 60% success rate. 60% is really good. So everyone that they've helped out with the discharge planning or warm hands, they have had a 60% success rate. I'll take a 60% success rate every day. And like I say, I was able to use him as an example of how it worked, and it worked. Like I say, I see him out there, and it's, hey, Sergeant Mulder, how are you? You doing all right? I was like, yes, buddy, how you doing? And he's able to say, hey, I'm still, trying to stay out of trouble as much as I can, and thank you guys for what you did for me. You guys are awesome. That's what I want to hear. And then let's go back full circle of what we talked about. You said, why did I get into this? Right there. Right there is why I got into law enforcement, whether it's corrections out on the street. Right there is why I did it. I'm able to help one person. Now, did I put the program there for him? Absolutely not. The lady that started it is awesome. I'm able to sit down and talk to her. And that, like I said, it's an awesome program. Is a little bit more work on the officers? Yes, absolutely. Now, some people say, well, I have to do a little bit more work, so it's not a great program. No, absolutely not. Sometimes we just have to change. We have to be willing to change to help people out. And in this case, with that program, we're able to change a little bit to do it. Because let's be honest, if you're on trans and you're taking the person, it's not always convenient. They have to be there between this hour and this hour. The programs don't always go 24 hours where you can just take them at any time. People aren't always on the other side where they're able to answer the door, and you may have to call. And okay, the little bit of an inconvenience, let's use that word, a success rate of 60%, I will take that because this is what I got into law enforcement for. So a little bit of quote unquote inconvenience is not that bad when there's a 60% success rate.
Not at all. In fact, for programs like that, that's great as far as percentage wise. Now, are you guys running these programs? Are they all in-house, and are they through the local government there, through the agency that you're with? Or are you guys partnering with like non-governmental organizations or other programs? Like I know you mentioned the one part you were possibly with the Goodwill and so forth. Are you working with these NGOs, or are you keeping everything in-house?
Okay, so it's both. Our detox program is a lot of in-house. They come in, they talk to them, they deal with them, they do all the things right there. Those dorms, they talk with them, they go through the program, they go through the meetings, and all that. That is all in-house. GED is all in-house. They come to them, they actually allow them have laptops to do their school on and everything like that. So it's all in-house. But these other programs go hand in hand with whatever organization it is to help out. So When they do the warm hands, could be like JDAC, which is a treatment program. It could be the living room, which is another treatment program. They could go to what we call halfway houses. We do have outside facilities that they go through, and we help the judges sometimes send them there. Because like I said, it can be court ordered or it can not be court ordered. But either way, we still want to help them out. So it's a multiple of people that help out in this situation.
When you talk about programs like this, and you had made the comment that, yes, it's all about the one, and we want to reach out to them. We want to be able to, if we save one person, obviously with a 60% rate here, you're definitely impacting more than one life. But you had also made the statement that sometimes it means more work for the officers themselves. And yet what I often hear out of the jail, and I know at least locally, is that the officers feel kind of overworked, that there seems to always be a jail shortage, that often they're working mandatory double shifts and so forth. Are you guys seeing that same kind of thing? And when you go down that conversation about having to work those extra hours, how does that affect these type programs?
I would say the effect of the program isn't as much. It's more of your daily operation that may get, for the lack of better words, interrupted. We have a huge shortage. We are personally down 70 to 80 officers, and people are still retiring. We don't have the pension like we used to. When we don't have that pension, a lot of people can go to, let's just throw out McDonald's. McDonald's wants to raise their hiring rate for $15 an hour. Let's see, McDonald's, where I can flip a cheeseburger, or corrections, or any law enforcement for $16.75, where I have things that could be thrown on me, body fluids that could be spit on me, the day-to-day things that we could deal with. Which one am I going to choose? A lot of people these days, I'm going to flip that cheeseburger. So I think it's more of a pension crisis with more of your daily operations than the officer's fatigue from being worked 16 plus hours, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, depending on what the need of the department is.
When you, a couple things I want to clarify. First of all, when you say outside trans, for our non-law enforcement listeners, are we talking transport there? So when you're talking a transport position?
Right. More of your transport position. They will take inmates to the hospital, clinics. They will take the inmate to different locations. They will go pick up inmates. If you have an arrest somewhere, they will go pick up the fresh arrest if it's another officer that has arrested them. Not for much LMPD, but more of an in-house arrest. They will go out there and pick them up. They do move list to, again, that CCC is not in the same facility, so they will do a move list to and from to that facility. They will go break the hospital runs. They will do that. When I talk about trans operation, that's more of what I'm talking about.
Take a moment and tell you, if you have not checked out our On the Blue Line Guild, our closed Facebook group, On the Blue Line Guild, that's GUILD, the link is in our show notes. But on there, I think we're right around 80 members right now, and it is growing daily. We'd love to have you join. The goal in there is to continue these conversations. So exactly what we're going over on these podcasts with our guests in our Monday morning roll call, we get back to in there, and we go over a little bit deeper. We just get a little bit more into the subjects, and we try to keep pretty constant conversations going, and some uplifting encouragement and some information like that may help you in your day-to-day lives. So please check it out after the show. It's in the show notes on the Blue Line Guild. Now back to the show. When you say that the issue when it comes to pay and so forth, and I know you use McDonald's as an example, and a lot of retail establishments are going to that minimum 15. I know we're seeing it around this area as well. In both retail and, of course, the fast food industry has been a big push for the last few years. and we'll see how that plays out on a broader scale. But when you talk about the income, I know you had mentioned it's kind of a pension issue, but is it pension in the mindset or the idea of just affecting retirement, or is it also having a livable salary between here and there as well?
Okay, I think it could be both. Some people, let's say, if they up the pay, and I'm just throwing out rough numbers, if they started the pay at $20 an hour, you might be able to get more retention and get people to stay because, okay, let's see, now I go back to McDonald's for 15 or I stay for 20. Now, that is going to influence some people more to stay in the environment that we are in. So it can be that, or it can be the pension. Because I know when my 14 years are up, I get a pension. I am good. Now, depending on how hard I work now, I know I'm going to bring in this amount for the rest of my life. And even after I pass away, it can, depending on which one you choose, that pension can go with my wife. So I know that there's security by staying. So it can be both. To answer your question, it's not one sided. Yes, I might stay for $20 an hour because I know if I go to McDonald's, I'm going to make 15, or let's just say the warehouse down the road, I'm only going to start at 15, $16 an hour. But now in corrections, I'm going to start at 20. So it can be that, or it could be the pension. I would say maybe with a younger generation, let's use me as an example. I didn't always look for the future. So I wasn't always concerned about the pension. Now that I'm getting older, I'm concerned about the pension. What will be there in 15 years when I'm done? I'm done. I'm exhausted. I'm fatigued. I'm ready to call it quits, go sit on the beach. No, we're just kidding. Go to Alaska and enjoy myself. Will my pension be there? And my pension will be there. I'm happy. I'll be fat happy in Alaska. Probably not fat happy in Alaska because it's hard work, but I will be happy in Alaska. Now the younger generation be like, oh, $20 an hour. I'll take that job now. Woo, yeah. I can work a little bit of overtime and I'm making $20 an hour. Absolutely.
So we're talking about manpower shortages and some of the contributing factors being the pension, the salaries, and so forth. Are these manpower shortages requiring a lot of mandatory overtime in the jail environment?
People are, especially the newer ones that don't have the seniority, able to move to the different areas that we've already talked about several times. They are getting forced on average 2, 3, maybe 4 times a week. So now they have done some things, great things to change that, to relieve some of that pressure and put it on other people. But we still have an overtime issue, yes. So, but that's again, we've got to figure out how can we retain people? What is it that we can do to retain? And it's not just our facility, it's law enforcement in general. I don't know how many you guys are down, but I do know that you guys are down people. I mean, I see daily on your guys' website that they constantly say, move to Florida. So that's a big thing is they're trying to get people to come work for your department. Same thing here. They put ads on the back of the buses. 10 years ago, you would not seen that nor had to see that. Because with the pension program and everything, yeah, you're going to always have overturn. People are going to leave for this reason, that reason, got a better job, went to the streets, blah, blah, blah. But it was never to the severity that it is now. And a lot of that is taken away from the pension program. And if I can make $16 here or $15 flipping a cheeseburger where I'm not going to get spat on, I'm going to flip that cheeseburger. So,
right. Well, and just doing a simple Google search as I was preparing for this episode, when you just do a simple search, putting in there the parameters of jail shortages in the U.S., you're right. It's almost epidemic. There's really no place in the United States that it appeared that didn't have some sort of shortage and that there was some sort of conversation going on between the local government as well as the jail trying to figure it out. When you're saying they get forced, so are they getting forced for a full shift? So in those cases, are they working like 16-hour days, or what kind of hours are those officers having to work?
That can vary, but most of the time, yes, they are working for 16 hours a day.
Now, one thing that I'm seeing that's really common, in fact, here in the coming week, I'm going to have the opportunity to sit down with a company that deals with extra duty employment, and that's going to be a great interview. And one of the things that we're going to talk about a little bit is working extra duties on top of your normal work hours. Are you finding that guys, I mean, with some of the pay rates and salaries that you're discussing, you're also going to probably be working extra duties on top of those forced hours? Is that correct?
They can be, yes. I mean, we have to have so many hours off. Every department says how many hours you have to have off. But yes, on other days, they may pick up more hours.
Do you think some of that has a negative effect? We're in Memorial Month. We're in the month of May here. And one of the things we're talking about also when it comes to officers is mental health as well, and mental health awareness. Do you think that some of the things we're talking about as far as like jail shortages, the number of people, the salary issues and concerns, as well as the need to work extra duties on top of their normal salary and overtime, do you think some of that plays a part in the mental health issues that we're seeing and that we're becoming more aware of as a country?
It does play a role. And now I also believe strongly that there is PTSD in the jail setting or even the street setting because of what we deal with on a daily basis. I mean, I'm constantly, like I said, I've been there almost 11 years. And even when I go to talk to the wife about stuff, she's like, I don't really want to hear that. Don't say that. Don't, and it's not that she's being mean, because she's not at all. But what we deal with on a daily basis, a lot of people don't understand. So hopefully there is a way to. I love about your website that you put on there. What have you done to de-stress? Even if it's what are you doing for your weekend? Because we don't always get Saturday, Sunday off. It could be Monday, Tuesday, your weekend. What are you doing to relax, to get your mind ready for the next week? What are you doing to clear your mind? Are you going to read a book? Are you going out fishing? Are you just simply spending time with the family? I love my off days. My off days are gold to me. Nobody touches my off days. I will work 90 plus hours a week the rest of the time. Don't touch my off days, because that is my time to come home and enjoy my kids, enjoy my wife. Everything that I saw for the week, no matter what it is, it was an inmate getting beat up, whether it was an inmate saying F you, whatever it was that your mind's like, woo, that's my time. And I want my time every week. 2 days a week is all I ask for. I'll do anything the rest of the time. Let me have my 2 days so I can enjoy my family. You're doing more and more on the website with that. What have you done? What can you do to help? And yes, this is actually Mental Health Month. And it is great for officers to help officers. I was talking about the detox program. And one of the things that made it great was inmates helping inmates that are going through the same struggles. In the mental health aspect of the job, should we not have officers helping officers? A simple walking by another officer that you see might be going through something and say, how are you doing today? You doing okay? Anything I can do for you? I'm a phone call away. Something that simple might be exactly what that officer needed. Going through a big incident, whatever it might be, that they've never seen, whether it's a cardiac arrest, whether it's something they may not ever seen before inside the jail, go beside them and let them know this may be your first big incident. You did a good job. Good job. Well, what can I do different? What did I do wrong? You did a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. If you want to talk about what we can change a little bit, sure, I will. I'll sit down and talk to you about it. And it's just that little bit of relief that will help with it, instead of the grind and the grind and the grind and seeing the things we see and hearing the things we hear. And it just becomes overwhelming. That's why you hear from the first officer, woo, let's go do it. Whether it's on the street or it's in the jail. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Woo, to, Oh, it's been a whole year. Oh, let's go do it. Let's go do that. Because it's war on you. Whether you're out on the streets or you're there, you mentally wore out. So what can we do as officers to help officers?
And that is the question. Are you seeing any type of programs out there? I mean, I know for us down here in where I'm at, we do have some similar things going on as far as the agency itself bringing some people together, and as far as like a regional group that, especially when it comes to high profile incidents and different things that an officer may be involved in during his shift. What we don't have, or at least what I haven't seen on a large scale, is more of that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that, putting your arm around the shoulder of someone. Now, you certainly have that on squads, and you may have it on platoons, but as it grows and as it develops into a larger organization, I don't know that you have that on a large scale. That could partially be because law enforcement officers are often skeptical and cynics, and a lot of that is along the lines of what you're saying with PTSD. It's kind of that low grade long-term stress that comes from doing this job. But are you seeing any programs out there that are kind of like what you're talking about?
I have. PD actually has a really good one here. And it's funny you mentioned this. I've been discussing with higher ups about a program that I would like to start, and they're on board. They may critique it a little bit and do more of what they have in mind, but there are great programs out there. And the program that I like it's called We Care, and it's more geared toward officers helping officers, having a program there, a mental health professional that has the degree, that has the knowledge, how to deal with PTSD in the jail, how to deal with stress in the jail, how to deal with a high incident, as you just spoke about, how to deal with low incident. Even like I said, if you're constantly all day hearing FUCO, blah, 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 blah. Because, yes, there are great things. We just talked for probably about 20 minutes about all the great things, the great programs and stuff. But you still have the inmates that are looking at life in prison without parole, the inmate that just don't care. You're still dealing with them on top of the great thing. You're mentally can get stressed out quickly. With the program that I had brought to them is a great program of officers helping officers, in that camaraderie that you were talking about, helping put everybody together. Let there be a group that helps each other, because they said there was a time that we had that with our department. Why it fell off, I'm not sure. I don't know why it fell off, but there used to be that. What can we do to get back to that? And that is what we are working at in our facility, working on, is getting back to that. One of the things is this week coming up, depending on when this airs, is our big AJA conference, which is American Jail Association. And they're having one on this coming Sunday, a couple of programs that I would like to go listen to that deal with the mental health aspect for the officer and the mental health aspect for the prisoner. But I think we have a lot of good programs for the prisoner or the person locked up, but we may not have as much for the officer. So what can we do to help? What can I do to help? Well, let's be honest. What can I do to make sure that guy don't take his life? Now, will it always be that extreme? No, and we hope it never is. But let's be honest, we've had to deal with it in my department. We've had, I don't know if you've dealt with it in your department, but when you lose a brother to whatever it is, it's never easy. You don't want to lose a brother. So what could I have done to talk to that brother to help him out? Was it a simple, I could have walked by and said, "Hey buddy, you doing okay?" No, I'm not. I have this going on. Be an ear. So when we talk about the mental health aspect of it, the mental health month, my question would be, what can I do to help? And I'm hoping to answer that. I'm hoping if we ever do another segment, I may be able to answer some of that. Hey, look what we're doing now.
And you're right that, obviously And what's great is it's getting more and more traction across the U.S. with different agencies. There's some great programs out there. In fact, we've got another interview lined up with a program out of Missouri that is doing some great things when it comes to mental health and helping officers. But as you pointed out, the stakes are so very high. The stakes are literally life and death, because if we, just like in the military, the 22 a day, we can't do this anymore. We have to change what we're doing. We have to save these lives. We have to have the programs, the resources out there to try to help a brother, help a sister who literally have given everything to this career. And then in the end, the career may be exactly what takes their life. So I think it's great. I love what you're talking about. In fact, as you go forward with this program, we'll see how it's working up there, and I'll make sure that we link some of this up in the show notes later for the listeners. Let me ask you, we're kind of winding down on time here, and I prepped you for this question. It's a question I'm going to be asking, at least a derivative of this question that I ask most of the guests that come on here. What do you think is the most important thing that agencies can do to help law enforcement officers in their personal lives?
Me personally, I believe it's having that quality time, making sure that I have that quality time, whether it's on my off days or whatever, to wind down, relax, get mentally prepared for the next week, making sure. I think it'd be great. Now I know I'm stretching for the moons and the stars, but I think it'd be great if they made it mandatory. You must one day, you pick whatever day it is, your off day. Now I know it's all done on seniority. So your day, Tuesday, you cannot work any off duty. You cannot work anywhere. That's your day. And I'd like to see more of making sure that the officers have that time to wind down, relax, get ready for the following week.
Well, Johnathan, I appreciate you coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking time to be here. I think we've just barely scratched the surface on many of the things that we can discuss when it comes to the jail environment and kind of the differences between the jail and patrol. I think it's good for our listeners to hear both sides, because they're both law enforcement and we both do equally important, but in some ways completely different roles and jobs in the criminal justice system. So I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was a great time.
So with that, this week's interview room is over. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to head on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. This is very important for us to continue to get this message out there. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please send those in, email them, go through the website. But we love to hear that feedback from you. We do this for you, the listeners, so please get with us, reach out to us, and we will certainly answer any questions. And if we can, we'll even deal with it in some future episodes. Our contact information and all social media links are on our website, which is ontheblueline.com. I thank you for listening. Have a great week. Don't miss our weekly podcast, releases every Monday morning, simply called Monday Morning Roll Call. And the next interview room will be released in 2 weeks on Thursday. I'll see you then. And in the meantime, I'll see you out there on the Blue Line.